Good evening. My name is Lara Beaulieu, and I'm the Executive Director of English in Action. Welcome to our 6th Immigrant Voices storytelling event. Today is also Veterans Day, so thank you to everyone here this evening who has served in the armed forces. If you haven't already done so, please take a moment to silence your cell phones. And first and foremost, I'd like to thank our collaborators in this event, Writ and TACAW. We couldn't do this without them, and they've been so lovely and generous in their support. It's amazing to be able to hold this event in this fabulous new space. I'd also like to appreciate all of the businesses that supported this event. You can find them listed on the back page of your program, and in particular our partners, Alpine Bank, Aspen Public Radio, the Aspen Times, the Town of Basalt, Elgibel Auto Wash, Rimkus Real Estate, Timberline Bank, Titan Digital, U.S. Bank, and the law firm of Wass, Campbell, Rivera, Johnson, and Velasquez. Give them a round of applause. We appreciate all of our supporters, and we hope that those of you who are here this evening will also consider making a donation to English in Action and to TACAW so that we can continue to bring you events like this one. You can do so by grabbing an envelope in the lobby on each of our websites or on Colorado Gives Day on December 7th through the Colorado Gives website. I hope that you'll also consider becoming a volunteer tutor for English in Action. No prior teaching experience is necessary. You only need to be able to speak English. You don't need to speak another language. So, before hearing from our storytellers this evening, we do have a special treat, a musical prelude from one of our storytellers this evening, Minsa Vu. Minsa has created an original work based on music selected by each of our storytellers to represent their culture and heritage. I give you Minsa. Minsa for helping us to enter the sacred space of storytelling. At English in Action, we believe in the power of connection. We match adult immigrants with volunteer tutors to help them learn English, but also to foster authentic connections between people who might not otherwise know each other. The Immigrant Voices storytelling event grows out of this work. As our students and tutors get to know each other, they often begin to share their life stories with each other. Some of these stories are private and should remain so, but some of these stories are ready to be shared with the public at large, and there are still few venues to do so. Our immigrant community is vital to the economy, community life, and leadership of our valley. There is no one immigrant experience. Each person who left home to journey to a new country has a unique story to tell. These are stories of the human experience. Even if you are not an immigrant, I'm confident that you will hear elements tonight that will resonate with your own experiences or the experiences of your ancestors, some of whom surely were immigrants. Now, our storytellers this evening, some of them are English in Action students, some are volunteers, and some are from the community at large. As many of you know, our storytellers are coached by Alya Howe, founder of Writ. Alya, born in Great Britain, is an internationally recognized dance and performance artist, and she is extremely talented at helping each person discover and develop the story that they want to tell. Our master of ceremonies this evening will be Samuel Bernal. Samuel is a vice president at Entravision, the parent company of a local Spanish language radio station, La Tricolor. And Samuel is also a member of the English in Action Board of Directors. He was a storyteller at our first Immigrant Voices event in 2017 and again in 2019. So please welcome Samuel.
Thank you, Lara. Good evening, everyone. Opening up our evening of storytelling is Veronica Sakura Isaya, a Latina from Argentina. That's a rhyme, a Latina from Argentina. Born in Tucumán, Argentina, raised in Mendoza, right next to the Andes. She has been living in the valley for 5 years and she's still in love with it. Nature and children are her best teachers and is an art lover. She is inspired by people that practice vulnerability and resilience. Currently working as the Spanish teacher at Waldorf School in the Roaring Fork Valley. Please, enthusiastically, welcome Veronica to the stage.
Knock, 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 knock. Someone is energetically knocking on my door. I'm in bed. It's early in the evening. I shouldn't be in bed. But that day, the sadness was winning. The frustration and the fear of not becoming who I was meant to be. I would rather stay in bed and not open the door. But when destiny knocks on your door, it just gets louder and louder. So there I go, open the door. And there was this person that I've only seen once or 2 times in my whole life, a completely unknown. She looked straight in my eye and says, "You are becoming the new Spanish teacher at the Waldorf School." I was not expecting this at all. Imagine my surprise. But at that point in life, I knew I deserved to celebrate any little victory in my life. So I didn't ask many questions. I just embraced the idea and I said, "De una." Now, let me tell you a little bit about where I come from, my family. My dad's side of the family, they all immigrated from Syria. My bisabuela Jadra, she never learned the Spanish language, but she was pretty good with numbers. My mom's side of the family, they immigrated from Spain. Mi bisabuela Lola, she was a stubborn gallega. And from that mix, I, Veronica Nerea Sakura Isaya, was born. My mom and my dad were the first racially mixed couple from both their families. Growing up, they cultivated in me the love for helping others. It was not easy being a child to help others, but that truly helped me to develop my interest to arts and this dream of becoming an art teacher and connecting with others through this unconscious world started to grow. And when I turned 24, I became the first person graduating from college in my whole family. Thank you. I received the title of art professor in San Rafael, Mendoza, Argentina, where if you sharpen your gaze, you can see the imponent and rebel Andes. You might wonder, why rebel? Well, let me tell you. There is this wind. The warm wind only comes during spring and summer. El viento sonda. When el viento sonda blows, people start getting anxious, a little bit crazy. Classes are canceled. I remember even being in college, staying in my house and just kind of quarantining. Painting like crazy, studying. I had to finish college. Yes. El viento sonda. And then, later, another part of my life came. Mi amor. Mi gordito. Tomás Vietti. Born from a European mix of races in Alexandria, Virginia. He is a food, wine, and snow lover. We met each other one night dancing the tango. And in just a matter of days, somehow, we knew we were our imperfect match. We were adventurous, courageous, and penniless. Our first night in our first apartment, we had dinner over a cardboard box. And that anecdote was fun to tell while we were in college. But we were growing up, college was about to be over, and the economy in Argentina was not getting any better. So we decided to sell all our belongings that probably at the time added to $600 or so, and move to the US. My dream was never to come to the US. As a child, I could see myself living the artist dream in Europe, painting in the streets of Paris. But in October 12, 2016, we landed in Aspen. And I was totally amazed by the colors in the valley. And this dream that I never dreamed of started to become a reality. Although many times it didn't feel like a dream at all. When I had to take in random jobs because my English was not good enough. When I had to take in low payment jobs because my skills for certain jobs were not enough. So I started to question myself. Is this why I left my family, my friends, and my culture behind? And the answer was always no. I came here to live my best life. And I know it might sound a little bit cliche, but it was the truth. We now have a table, a wood table. We have food. We can go out for dinner whenever we want. We can even save money. But some pieces are missing. And this feeling of contradiction arose. In one side, we are so grateful for everything we've accomplished so far. And in another side, we feel that we are not complete, that our real dreams are not quite there yet. That's when we decided to, one more time, sell everything again and go and travel the world and see if there's another place for us out there. And when we were about to do that, guess what? The pandemic hit. And we all know how it was. One more time, I was just so grateful that I didn't quit my job, that we had an apartment in beautiful Aspen, that we could go out for walks and isolate ourselves in a beautiful place like this. But it looks like our destinies were somehow written by a Machiavellian mind. The same mind that wanted us to stay here in this valley. And so I was there, quarantining, and I realized that I've been here before in this state of mind, in this chaos. You know, in Argentina, you don't get to choose that much what kind of job you want to do. You get the job that you get, you're lucky, and you just hold tight to it. In Argentina, there's more people than jobs, while here, there's more jobs than people. So I knew that all of the answers reside within ourselves. I decided to look inside. And somehow, the unexpected, the good unexpected happened when I realized that. Knock, knock. Here I am. In the presence of the sunset of who I used to be and looking to the light of who I will become. Here I am. And this is not the end of the story. This is just the beginning. It was the first time that I felt that all the sacrifices that any immigrant makes along the way are worth it if just one person could benefit from my skills. Thank you.
Thank you, Veronica. And our next storyteller is Minsa Vu, a violinist of many passions and a visionary with illuminating artistry. A native of Taiwan and deeply rooted in the richness of classical music, Minsa embraces the word Veng Feng, running with free spirit, as her way of exploring the world and the music. Expanding on the ideals of chamber music, Minsa interweaves words, movements, and other theatrical elements to create a new multidimensional experience. Infused with spirit, precision, and passion, Minsa founded Veng Feng Music Productions and played the role as a producer and artistic director to several notable productions, including Kreutzer, Venet, Tsushima and His Transfigured Night, and Death of the Pugilist. Please, join me in welcoming Minsa Vu.
She is there, always there, my mama. Before there was applause, cheers, standing ovations, and spotlight. And after, when the lights went dim and all fell silent, she was there. Especially during when all kinds of voices would whisper doubts in my ears. Are you sure you can do this? She was there. She was there when I was 3, carrying me in the bamboo seat on the back of the bicycle. I could still remember the rhythm of her pedaling. She would ride the bicycle with me on the back to the bus stop, where we would take the 30-minute bus ride to the center of Kaohsiung for my weekly music class, where my legs would dangle from the piano bench, where she had to whisper the translation from Mandarin Chinese to Taiwanese, which was the only language I could speak at the time. Before I learned my bpm, my ABC, I learned my do re mi. She was there on an autumn morning, alone, in the sterile delivery room. The elderlies in my family would pace back and forth with their eager eyes and their nervous hands. Is it girl or is it boy? Girl or boy? This was 1976 Taiwan. My brightly educated parents would bow their heads low and say, it was a girl. Being a girl somehow alleviated me from all kinds of responsibilities and also expectations. But that's not how my parents would raise me. At the time, when 1/3 of my father's earning would go towards the rent, 1/3 would go towards the parental support, and 1/3 would go towards the food on the table and books. Books, lots of books, books too big to fit on my lap, books that I could devour day after day. They believe in investing the invisible things. They wanted to show me the foundation that later I could walk freely on. And they want to show me the sky where I could fly into. So at age 14, I flapped those wings and came to New York City. Too soon, my mother would say. She had barely known me. I had barely known myself. I have not found my laughters like a coyote. I have not yet found my ability to love like a moth towards the flame. I have not yet found my spiritual calling in the mountains. I have not yet found my passion of playing the violin bare feet. In my search of my path, I have abandoned her church. Still, kneeling on the pews, she was there, holding me dear in her prayers. She came knocking on the door a few times, but I didn't let her in. I didn't think she could handle it. My life was liberal, with cigarettes and romance. She couldn't handle any of that. Besides, I wasn't sure if she was seeing me as the girl in her dreams and hopes, or if she was actually seeing me. Many, many years later, I came back to her doorstep as a woman with a family and a vision. She must have wondered, where have you been all these years? In 2017, I got to stand on the stage of the National Concert Hall in Taiwan, presenting my production that had my heart, my soul, and my sleepless nights all over it. She was there. And this time, not only there, but with her heart open wide, taking in the Schoenberg, the Ravel, the Tchaikovsky, and the Gershwin, none of which she could say the names of the composers. But she was there. She was there taking in the new discoveries of me, layers upon layers, some of which still made her cringe. The girl that she gave birth to 45 years ago is now a mother as well. On that wintry morning, when I gave birth to my girl, she was there. By the sheer force of that primal push and the astounding tenderness of surrender, we have found each other again. Like mothers giving birth, like daughters receiving life. With the Mass every morning and the Rosary every night, she is there. My mama, always there. Thank you.
Coming up, Laura Segura, English in Action student since 2019, and now a student leader. Born and raised in Mexico City, she came to America pregnant with her firstborn child. She's passionate about advocating for herself, family, and her community. Laura works for CIRC, Colorado Immigrant Rights Coalition, where she was just promoted like a couple of days ago for organizer for the mountain region. Congratulations, Laura, for that new promotion. Thank you. And with CIRC, there's still more, a lot of story for you.
Sorry.
With CIRC, she gets to be a voice for the vulnerable, to value the resilience of her people and honor them with her actions. She's the proud mother of 3 amazing people who teach her how to be the best she can. She's the grandmother of 3 wonderful grandchildren who help her discover her inner wild child who had been sleeping for a long time. And a grateful mother-in-law to a beautiful woman who always keeps her on track. Let's give a warm welcome to our quiet spark, Laura.
She's crazy, they say, and I will tell you why. When I speak the truth, they say I lie. When I speak up, they say I'm out of control. When I say what I think, they say I'm out of the ordinary. When I say how I feel, they told me, shut up. When I express myself, they say, we don't like you. When I show them the invisible and what is possible, they say, you don't fit in here. When I prove them wrong, they say, you don't belong. When I say I'm here, they say, you must go. When they need someone, they look for me. When they see me happy, they ask themselves, why? When they see me calm, they ask themselves, how? When they see me crying or laughing, they ask themselves, now what? When they see me passing by, they ask themselves, is she coming? Where she's going? When they see me working, they see me standing up for all of us. They ask themselves, what's she doing? And to themselves, she has courage. When they finally see me, they ask me, who are you? What are you doing here? How are you doing? And that's when I give them the chance to know me. I love myself for who I am. I always been myself. And I'm not crazy. I am extraordinary out of my mind. That's who I am. I always am. And they say, tell me more. Come sit with us. You are welcome here. We admire you. And I say to myself, they are crazy. Please don't judge me and don't get me wrong. But these people are out of this world. Agree or disagree, I can show you how things are for me. For me in this crazy world, all is all right. The world needs us. I say to them, and I say to you, just be happy and come too. Don't be afraid to be different. We all are. Be yourself. Be very proud of you. Speak up. All your thoughts. That's what they say today. Don't be afraid to be different. We all are. She's crazy, they say, and I will tell you why. Because they didn't have words to describe the independent and powerful woman that I am.
Thank you for that poem, Laura. And now it's the turn of the most beautiful woman in the world. And you tell she's my wife. Ileana Renteria Bernal. Ileana moved from Mexico to Colorado in 2017. In Mexico, as a medical professional, Ileana worked at the National Public Health Institute as academic support for the Masters of Economic Health Sciences, as well as completing her psychology studies doing research on teenage pregnancy. At Raising Reader, Ileana rose to the position to Associate Director, a local nonprofit focused on early literacy and parent engagement, serving Aspen to Parachute. In 2020, she received Pitkin County Human Services Helen Klander Exemplary Service Award. Ileana and I also received the Heroes of Aspen Award from the Theater Aspen that same year. Thank you. Thank you. And this year, she is nominated for a Garfield County Humanitarian Award. She recently started her independent career as a digital marketing strategist and Latino outreach consultant. We live in Newcastle with our two beautiful children, Annette and Leo. Please, put your hands together to welcome Ileana to the stage.
Our girl. What makes me Mexican? That's exactly what our daughter asked us a few weeks back. And it got the both of us thinking and talking and sharing. We started talking about our culture, about our family, our food, our country, and about ourselves. The memories. We started talking about all of those things, and the word community kept coming to my mind, and I was thinking, community. But that wasn't a word that I used to use as much as I do now that I live here in the mountains. You see, back in Mexico, I was part of something. I was part of everything just by being born there. I didn't have to work for it. I didn't have to earn it. I am Mexican. But now I am also an immigrant. And being an immigrant means many things. But for some of us, it also means it's an honor, but it's also hard work. It's something that you feel like you have to work for it, and you have to represent the best of both worlds. So that's what we try to teach to our children. I love my immigrant community here. I love how immediately we recognize in ourselves our chatty, joyful, hardworking, and resilient nature. When I first came to the mountains, I thought, what a wonderful opportunity for me to practice my English. Boy, was I surprised when someone spoke to me in Spanish, in Aspen, of all places. I was so surprised to meet so many Spanish-speaking people from so many different countries. Then, over the years, I've learned that there's still a large population here in our valley for whom Spanish remains their only language. Now, when the pandemic arrived here in the valley, my husband felt very ill. It's like I've never seen him before, and it was really hard for me. That morning I woke up and I was looking for him in bed. I reached out my hand and he wasn't there. And then our daughter came to our room and she told me that he had taken her out of her bedroom and he was quarantining there, because we had this plan in place in case of if any of us caught it. And I felt like the world stopped. I was trying to be strong for him and for the children, but I was afraid because I knew that they are the only people that I have here in this country. And that was a scary thought. And I also was trying to remain strong and trying not to scare anyone, especially my mom and his mom. He's a journalist. So during that period, he was still broadcasting live. And in those transmissions, he looked so different, all sweaty, and his beautiful radio voice wasn't there. He was weak in his voice. And that was really hard for me. Deep down, I was scared that I could lose him. Thankfully, I didn't. He's here. And even though he was quarantining and he wasn't in the best shape, he had the clarity of mind of creating a Facebook group where people could ask for help, and hopefully someone else will have the answer to their questions and will know how to help, like an online support group. There, I was translating every bit of useful information that I came across regarding the pandemic, and everything I was translating in Spanish and helping a lot of people navigate the available resources in our valley. I still remember, thank you. I still remember the first lady who asked me for help. She lived in El Jebel, she had a baby then, and she didn't have any money to purchase baby diapers and baby milk, and there was no toilet paper available. We can all remember those traumatic times. So, as soon as I posted on Facebook, dozens of people offered to help her. Someone brought her a box of goods to her home. The school district gave her a gift card. And I was just so touched by how our community came together for her. She was the first one. Now, over the weeks, the need for help increased, but the number of people who could actually lend a help started to decrease because job hours were being cut short. And that's where the power of our amazing nonprofit organizations was really felt. So their commitment to helping the members of our community to the point of burnout was really outstanding and undeniable. And I know, because I was there. I witnessed it. When the need for rent assistance began, that's where the number of messages that I was receiving increased exponentially. I was replying people for countless hours. And it was starting to take a toll on me as well. The help was needed, and there were more questions than answers, obviously. Thank you. Can you?
Say something, for example, about the social media, the power of social media.
Yeah.
You know about.
Thank you. Yes. So the need was really exponential. I was replying to a ton of messages. I was feeling so exhausted, but at the same time, I started getting tons of messages of gratitude and words of encouragement. And that was really what motivated me to keep going. Now, my husband and I really know the power of social media and the internet. And we should know, because we met there. But it takes a different meaning for someone who has left everything and everyone thousands of miles away. When you're trying to know this new community that you're joining, when you're trying to make those connections, that's why he and I try to use the internet as a tool for good, as a place for compassion, and where people can feel safe to share what they are needing. Now, the level of trust that people show me every day through social media, it's unbelievable to me, because they start sharing their stories, and they have these complex and powerful stories that they share with me with a level of trust that I've never felt with someone I've never met in person. But in this era, to meet someone and be friends on Facebook or any other platform means to be friends in real life. So to me, that's very powerful. And I've met some wonderful, amazing people there. And now I get to call them my friends. Now, strangely enough, the pandemic came to put many things in place for me personally and professionally, and it was all very organic. Our family got to spend so much time together. Our house became a radio station, a video studio, a school, and a home simultaneously. It actually brought us closer, and it made us stronger. We are stronger because of it. At the end of the day, I consider ourselves the lucky ones. Because for me, family is where community starts. Thank you.
I think I fell in love for the second time. And for the first time in this valley, the next storyteller is Jorge Montiel. He's the lead organizer for Immigrant Voices project, a broad-based organizing strategy affiliated with the Industrial Areas Foundation, with member institutions along the Roaring Fork Valley. He also works with a sister organization on the Front Range, Coloradans for the Common Good. Jorge has worked with the Industrial Areas Foundation for over 17 years. Before Colorado, he organized in San Antonio, Texas, and Phoenix, Arizona. His previous career was in corporate finance. He received a Bachelor of Science degree in Mechanical Engineering from the University of Arizona and an MBA from the University of Michigan Business School. Jorge is originally from Nogales, Sonora, a small town, Arriba Sonora, a small town on the northern Mexican border. He came to the US when he was 17. He is married to Suzanne, and they have two boys, Elias, a junior in high school, and Isaac, an 8th grader. Let's welcome Jorge to the stage.
I grew up in Nogales, Sonora. a border town in northern Mexico. When I was a kid, I was very motivated to do well in school. I wanted straight A's, and I needed to be recognized for it. When I reached secundaria, which is grades 7 through 9 in Mexico, like middle school, I even entered a school-wide math competition. In 7th grade, I won and really struggled at the regionals. I wasn't used to that feeling, and I didn't like it. So in 8th grade, I was determined. I went to my teacher and I asked for extra work so that I could be ready. I won again at school. I won the regionals and got absolutely crushed at the state level. There were things on that test that I had never seen. I was embarrassed. That and a number of other experiences left me really disappointed with the education I was getting. The next school year, I didn't even enter the competition. I was done. In fact, when I finished 9th grade, I decided to go work full time. I gave up on school. 2 years later, I immigrated to this country. I had some friends who had gone to the Phoenix area, worked in restaurants. They seemed to be doing all right, so I figured I could make it too. For my first job in this country, I washed dishes at a fancy restaurant. Then I mopped floors, then I bussed tables, and so on. Eventually, I realized maybe I should go back to school. So I enrolled at Pima Community College in Tucson and then transferred to the University of Arizona. With a mechanical engineering degree in hand, I landed a job with Procter & Gamble in Southern California. I was their process engineer in the production of toilet paper. We made tons of toilet paper. And oh, I wish I kept my connections there for the pandemic. But alas, a couple of years after that, I wanted something more. So off I went to the University of Michigan Business School, got an MBA, and after those long gray Michigan winters, I wanted to be back closer to home. So I accepted a position with Intel Corporation as a financial analyst back in Arizona. I thought I made it. Great job, solid company, really good pay. I mean, this kid from Nogales now had stock options. I was still single, and I bought a new house, a Harley Davidson, and a set of golf clubs. Now, if that's not the American dream, I do not know what it was. My father came to this country several years after I did. He had found himself without work, and being older than 50, his prospects in Mexico were not good. As it turned out, they weren't great here either. He found work doing what he did as a young man, driving trucks, big rigs this time. Long hours on the road, gone for days. It was hard on him. One day he called, said he needed to talk. He told me that he had been ignoring this pain, mostly because he did not have health insurance. But he finally went to the doctor when the pain made driving difficult. They found advanced colon cancer. Soon after, he lost his job. They tell me I should go apply for Medicaid, he said. I hate to ask for help, but I don't know what else to do. So I encouraged him to do that. I said, Dad, I'll help you. So we filled out the application, went through the process, and showed up for an interview where we were told that he did not qualify for any benefits. I thought, you must have the wrong case here. So let me tell you about my dad. He lost his job. He doesn't have any savings. My mom doesn't work outside the house. My 2 younger siblings are still at home depending on him. And he has cancer. How could he not qualify for any benefits? I'm sorry, the lady said. It just, you see, your dad was working up until a few weeks ago, and his income, although just above the minimum wage, puts him above our cutoff line. Now, I understood what she was saying. She did show me the chart, but I couldn't believe it. So much for the American dream. I still believed, with the naive perspective of an immigrant perhaps, that in this country people were not allowed to fall below a certain level, that there was a safety net. So I asked her, now, what do you recommend my dad do now? And she said, all we can say is to go home and reapply in 6 months. 6 months, I said. He's going to be dead in 6 months if we don't do anything about it. He was dead in a year. His name was Jorge Montiel. He was 57 years old. I was devastated. I still had a nice job, the house, the degrees that got me all that, but none of those things helped me save my dad. About a year after he died, I was invited to what someone called a house meeting at my parish. And I went, and there were about 12 of us in that room, including this woman I didn't recognize. She introduced herself as an organizer with the Industrial Areas Foundation. And she said that she was visiting congregations, talking to people about struggles with healthcare. I was puzzled. I thought, why would she come to this suburban, fairly affluent, large Catholic church instead of going to the poor part of town? And why are we talking about healthcare at church? What does one thing have to do with the other? It turned out that every person there had a personal story of struggle. And I was surprised. And when my turn came, I shared what happened to my dad. Now, it was the first time I was talking about this publicly, so I felt myself getting hotter and hotter as I told this story. And by the time I was finished, the organizer pointed out that I sounded angry. Are you angry? She asked. I didn't know what to say. I had spent a year grieving the loss of my dad. I carry this terrible guilt for not being able to fight for him. I mean, I didn't know the system. I thought he was going to get the help he needed, but he didn't. I felt powerless, but angry. I turned to my fellow parishioners and I said, you know what? I didn't realize that I was, but I am angry. I am angry because we didn't give my dad a chance. And I say we because Medicaid is a public institution, which means that we are all partly responsible for sending my dad home to die. I'm angry because we live in a state where we help some but not others. Because my dad was poor, but not poor enough. Maybe he was still going to die from it, but we had the resources to help him and chose not to. So yes, I tell the organizer, I am angry. Now what? Well, imagine, she said, if this church and other congregations would come together and stand with you and people like you to protect folks like your dad. You wouldn't be alone. You could have some power. Now, it's not going to be easy. We could do that if you're interested. And I said, come on, churches don't do that. I was born and raised in this church, and I never heard anyone say that we could, let alone should, do something about this kinds of struggles. You know what she said? Well, maybe you don't know your tradition as well as you think you do. I was stumped. So I set out to learn about it, and it turned out that she was right. There is this rich, long tradition of Catholic social doctrine that calls us, lay leaders, to work on behalf of justice as a fundamental part of being Christians. I was 30 years old at the time, and that was new to me. At a time when I was drowning in guilt for not having fought for my dad more, suffering from a debilitating powerlessness, this organizer threw me a lifeline. Here, she said, here's a strategy to build power with others so that you can act effectively to protect yourself and those you love. And I grabbed it. I joined the organizing strategy as a volunteer leader out of my own self-interest to save myself. 2 years later, I left my corporate job and started my organizing career. But that was 17 years ago. I'm still organizing because this work helped my grief be transformed into righteous anger. As in the scripture of Moses and the burning bush, my anger has become like flames of fire that burn but do not consume. It is rekindled every time I hear stories of injustice and loss, giving me the courage to join them to achieve justice. Thank you.
Thank you, Jorge. We are closing this night of storytelling with our legendary Alexandra Jacob. Alexandra Jacob came to the United States from Poland as a political refugee in 1970 at age 17. After completing her graduate studies in New York City, she moved to the Roaring Fork Valley, where she has lived for 44 years. During her 32nd year career with Colorado Mountain College, she initially focused on access for non-traditional and adult learners, and later on philanthropic support. Alexandra became the first female dean at the school and the first CEO of the College Foundation, where she raised over $40 million for programs, campus, building projects, and scholarships. After retiring from CMC, Alexandra joined Valley View Foundation to help complete a campaign to build the new Callaway Young Cancer Center and expand the Heart and Vascular Center. In 2018, Alexandra formed Wings LLC to help nonprofit organizations grow their core fundraising capacities, and is currently a major gift fundraiser for the local Habitat for Humanity. Alexandra serves as a proud board member of Mind Springs Foundation, Conventure, and English in Action. She is a recipient of the 2009 National Outstanding Professional in Philanthropy Award, the 2010 Athena Award, and the 2017 Garfield County Humanitarian Service Legacy Award. Alexandra lives in Carbondale with her fiancé, Don Willits, and has 3 grown children and 4 brilliant grandchildren who fill her heart with pride and joy. Let's honor Alexandra Jacob with a huge welcome.
My name is Eda Rosenberg. I am a 15-year-old Jewish girl in a socialist Poland. The year is 1968. Things will shift under my feet so drastically, I will not recognize my life. The anti-Semitism that we thought would have died with Hitler's death will be resurrected as if with a swift pen. In a span of 18 months, 90% of Jews who are first and second generation Holocaust survivors will be expunged from Poland. The Holocaust is very deeply etched into my family's psyche. My father, one of only 4 survivors of a family of some 150 people, will lose his entire family in the Jewish ghettos and the gas ovens of concentration camps. He will never speak of the horrors of the war. My mother, whose small family survives only because the Bolsheviks get to them the night before the Germans do and imprison them in labor camps in Siberia. She will speak only of the stark beauty of the tundra and the amazing generosity of the poorest of Russian peasants who will take them in, nurse them back to health upon their release. But I hear of their pain and agony. I hear their screams at night, the nightmares that punctuate so many nights of my childhood. Events that will take place a continent away will trigger an avalanche of anti-Semitism. After the 6-day war in Israel, a government-issued petition is circulated amongst all schools. We are asked to sign a proclamation denouncing the Israeli actions in support of the Arab nations. I am not sure. To this day, I am not sure what propelled me to this action, but I said I will not put my name down, not realizing what repercussions could befall upon my family. My parents are called to school, and luckily, the situation is put to rest because the school administrator likes my family. But my father grows leery. He is worried that the danger is coming. I am told in no uncertain terms, do not invite friends over or pick up the phone at night when I listen to Radio Free Europe. Do not speak of anything that is being said at home, even to your closest friends. And please, no more rebellion. In the spring of 1968, Polish students are staging demonstrations across colleges and universities. They want freedom. They want freedom of expression. They want to build Poland where their voices matter. And their peaceful demonstrations are met with violence and terror. They are beaten by the soldiers and the police, thrown in jail, thrown out of the universities, and their parents are targeted by the government that wants their apartments, their careers, their jobs, their lives. Nothing will prepare us for what is coming. Barely 60 kilometers from my hometown, Czechoslovakia is fighting for their own freedom from the Soviets. Tanks are rolling in front of our house. as Russian soldiers are invading Czechoslovakia. Young men sitting on top of tanks, their faces covered in dust, are looking bewildered, as are we watching this theater of war. The thundering sound of the tanks permeate every cell of our bodies, and my parents are traumatized. They are terrified. My sister, in the first year of Jagiellonian University, is targeted by the secret police, the equivalent of KGB. They want her to infiltrate the underground and report on the activities of other students. Their menacing presence is intimidating every single day in front of her apartment building, in the hallways of the university, in the back seat of the lecture hall. She refuses, but they say, if you do not cooperate with us, great harm will come to your family. The country is in turmoil. Prague is burning. Students are revolting. The economy is on the brink of a collapse. And the government reaches for a toolbox and extracts from it a tried and true scapegoat. They say, all of this unrest, everything that is happening that is so unsettling, that is putting this country in turmoil, is caused by the elitist, undeserving, spoiled Jewish youngsters, the product of their Jewish families. They and their parents need to be punished. Władysław Gomulka, the Secretary of State, goes on national television and states, if you are a Jew, you can leave this country now. Leave your citizenship, declare yourself, you will have 3 months to be gone. And overnight, this anti-Semitism that lay dormant for 23 years since the end of war becomes a wildfire of hatred. Across my small mountain town, banners are strung across the main street. Zionists, get out of Poland. Jews, go back to Israel. I look at it and I think to myself, they cannot possibly be talking to me. There is a boy. He asks me out on a date. My parents say, okay. I meet him in front of a movie house. He says, I cannot go out with you. My mother forbade me because you are a Jew. I look at him and I'm thinking, you idiot! You stupid, stupid, ignorant boy! I don't say that. Instead, I say, took some courage for you to say that to my face. Perhaps you are not as cowardly as you seem. I take a long walk. I don't want to come home and tell my parents why I didn't go to the movies. I enter the chemistry lecture hall. There is a gathering around my desk. I move forward, and people part. I look at my desk, "Dirty Jew" is scrawled across it. My friends are trying to shield me. My teacher says, please take a different seat. And I say, no, this is my desk. I am comfortable here. And I am stunned. My sister arrives from the university and tells our parents about the latest encounter with the secret police. Our fate is sealed. My parents make a decision that we need to leave Poland. 3 months later, we board a train. The weekly quota of Jews who will leave Poland, a country that they thought was theirs. We will take long abandoned tracks from central Poland through Czechoslovakia to Austria. We will have left everything behind. In our suitcases, only a prescribed number of allowed items. The soldiers who are guarding the train will walk by our compartment, their menacing eyes upon us. We can hardly breathe. From my anger, I turn into fear. Every cell of my body is humming in fear. I can hardly breathe. The silence in the compartment is maddening. It's late at night and the train stops. About an hour passes, and then some commotion, and the train lurches forward. We hear nothing. I look outside the window, and the night is as black as velvet. And then the compartment doors open. There stands a soldier, his uniform a different color, and his eyes are kind. He nods and says, "You have just crossed the Iron Curtain. You are free now." We don't say anything, we just cry. And for the very first time, I realize that freedom is not what I want or need. It is a feeling. In the early hours of the next morning, we are met at the Vienna train station by representatives of Catholic charities, Lutheran services, and Jewish relief organization. People who will build a bridge for us from a country who said, "Get out," to a country that will say yes. Vienna is a time of transition. We will be there for 4 months awaiting our entry visa to the United States. But we are also a family in transition. My parents, so traumatized, are paralyzed. From that day on, my sister and I will have to use every initiative we know how to move forward. On January 16, 1970, a flight from Vienna arrives at JFK. Along with about 100 other political refugees, we are ushered to a hangar. There, after many hours of paperwork, we leave with the coveted green card in our hands. A young man from Jewish Relief Organization who is guiding us to a van that will ultimately take us to our hotel stops abruptly. He turns, an apologetic smile on his face, and he says, "Oh, I forgot. Welcome to America."
Thank you, Alexandra, for your amazing lifetime of service to our valley. And thanks to all the storytellers and their hard work for our community. Please, Alexandra, thank you. Veronica Sakura, please. Minsa Vu. Laura Segura. Iliana Rentería. And Jorge Montiel.